What's going on, everybody? Welcome to yet another installment of Renegades Reviews, right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I am the Renegade J.J. Williams, and today we're going to talk about one of my close personal favorite Tom Hanks films of all time, from 1996, That Thing You Do, starring Tom Everett Scott as Guy Patterson, Liv Tyler as Faye, Jonathan Schaech as Jimmy, Steve Zahn as Lenny, Ethan Embry, who's only credited as TB player for the bass player. He doesn't have an actual character name. And Tom Hanks, of course, as Mr. White. This film is star-studded. Along with the guys that I just listed off, you've also got Charlize Theron, Giovanni Ribisi, Chris Isaac, Kevin Pollak, Clint Howard, Peter Scolari, Tom Hanks' co-star from Bosom Buddies, Bryan Cranston, Rita Wilson, his wife, and Colin Hanks, his son, all in this film, plus more people. This film is just so insanely stacked with star power and future star power. It's just nuts. Anywho, the year is 1964, and Guy Patterson works at his family's appliance store. But he yearns to be a jazz drummer. Like, he has just grown up idolizing jazz music. He'll put on records and play the drums along to them, making up his own licks. His all-time favorite, though, is Del Paxton. Jimmy is a singer-songwriter in a local band, and his group is entered in the local talent show. When the drummer Chad breaks his arm by trying to leapfrog over the parking meters, Jimmy and Lenny come to Guy and ask him to sit in with the band. They tell him, we'll split $100 four ways if we win, but it gives you a chance to play again, live in a real band. So Guy agrees. He goes to the garage where the band rehearses, and Jimmy teaches him this song called That Thing You Do. And Jimmy's envisioned this song as a ballad, a cute little love song from him to his girl Faye. And they rehearse it. Guy nails it. Jimmy calls it perfect. So they get ready to go and enter the talent show, to which Guy just kind of randomly spouts out "wonderful." Faye hears that and she's like, that's it. That's the name of the band, The Wonders. So they go and they enter the talent show. And because Jimmy wants to do some wordplay like the Beatles, instead of B-E-E like the bug, they spelled it B-E-A-T like the beat, the music. Jimmy decides to spell the Wonders with O-N-E, as in wonders. This becomes a running gag because nobody can actually say the name right. They're always called the Oneaters. But in any event, they enter the talent show, and Guy, ever since hearing this song, he doesn't picture it as a ballad. He pictures it more as an up-tempo rock and roll song. So when they get ready to start the song, he just counts it off. 1, 2, 3, 4, and he starts doing this really fast drum beat. And at first, the guys are like, yo, slow it down, but you're live. So they eventually jump right into the song. They're able to keep up with Guy. They little shaky at first, but they build up, and it's a hit. They win the talent show, and they end up getting a paying gig at Villapianos. a local pizza joint out by their airport. The kids begin to buzz about them, with their playing. So they decide they're going to make a 45 record for their song. Sell it at the pizza joint, make a few bucks on the side. Guy happens to have an uncle in the music industry, Uncle Bob, played by Chris Isaac, who's probably best known for his 90s hit single Wicked Game. The record ends up getting into the hands of a local promoter who wants to sign the Wonders and start promoting them around town. Really generate some buzz. Even gives them a guarantee: if I cannot get your song into rotation at the radio stations within 10 days, tear up the contract. You're free to go. Not only Jimmy's hesitant at first. Like, he's really hesitant to sign anything that has to do with his music. But the other guys are like, dude, we need to do this. There's no way we will be a success without a manager promoting us. So they do it. Phil keeps his word. He gets them on the radio station. One of quite possibly the most joyful scenes in movies, period. Just the surprise and shock on the faces of the band members as they hear the song on the radio is just so infectious. It's just a beautiful sight to watch, and to hear whoever's idea it was in editing to start the song very soft, as the first person is hearing it. And then as more and more people from the band start to come into the picture and are tuning radios to the song gets louder and louder and louder till you almost can't even hear the dialogue that's being spoken. Brilliant, brilliant move, in my opinion. Just the pure joy on everybody's face is so infectious. How can you not be happy for them? As a result of the single getting played, they get booked on a rock and roll showcase. And this is where they first start to have a little bit of a crack. Everything that could possibly go wrong at the showcase goes wrong. The mics don't work. The cymbals fall down. Everybody is getting jittery because of everything else going on. The performance is horrible. But a man just happened to be in the audience and see the performance and has heard the song, and he knows what can be. And that man is Mr. White, played by Tom Hanks. So Phil, their manager, takes Guy to a restaurant in between shows, and they have a meeting with Mr. White. And Guy, even though he's kind of at this point the de facto leader of the band, even though it's Jimmy's band, Jimmy's music, all of the success is happening because of Guy. Guy's a little bit older, so the guys kind of look to him. But Guy doesn't want to make any decisions on his own. So, bring Mr. White back to the showcase. Everyone agrees. They end up signing with Mr. White, who is talent for Playtone Records. As a result of their signing, now they begin a tour. And it's kind of a small tour. It's just farms, fairs and stuff, a fair tour. But they're with all the other stars of the Playtone Galaxy. All the while, their song is buzzing and growing and buzzing and growing, and it's rapidly climbing up the charts. They call it at one point the fastest rising single in Playtone history. Eventually, it cracks the top 10 at number 7. At this point, Mr. White pulls the boys off the tour, and he takes them to the coast, takes them to California, puts them up in the same hotel that Lucy and Ricky stayed in when they made their trip to California. And once they get to California, they begin a massive publicity tour. We're talking radio interviews, cameos in a major motion picture, and TV appearances, including the Hollywood Television Showcase, which I'm not really sure if that's a legitimate show or if it was just a fictitious show made up for the movie. But in any event, it's built up to be very much like the Ed Sullivan Show, which the Beatles appeared on. And now things start to crack again. Here we are, the day of their biggest performance in history on this Hollywood Television Showcase. Jimmy is sick, the bass player is missing, and Guy is hungover. Now, the bass player is missing, but we knew this was going to come anyways because, as you saw in the clip that I showed when the song was first played on the radio, he's walking out of like an Army recruitment center. He's joined the Marines back home. And he's going to be leaving the band anyway. He's already told Mr. White. He's already told the band. So we knew he was going to depart at some point. We just weren't expecting him to depart like this. So Mr. White brings in Wolfman, who's a session musician, pretty popular there in Southern California, to replace the bass player for the TV performance. And this performance, unlike the one at the Rock and Roll Showcase where everything was going on, this one goes beautifully. Like, this is possibly the best performance of their career. However, of course, there has to be a hiccup. When the television production crew is trying to introduce the world to the Wonders, they're giving close-ups on their faces, putting their names underneath them, much like Ed Sullivan Show did to the Beatles. When we get to Jimmy, they throw, "Careful, girls, he's engaged," underneath his name. Again, much like they did with John Lennon, "Careful, girls, he's married." The difference is that while John really was married, and didn't seem to have too much of an issue with them putting that out there, Jimmy and Faye aren't engaged. Jimmy is pissed off about this. And he throws a tantrum in the dressing room. He just goes off on Faye, ripping her apart. And you really start to feel bad for her because she has put up with so much of this crap from Jimmy, and she finally snaps. She breaks up with him. And Jimmy even says that he should have dumped her in Pittsburgh, which is where they first signed with Mr. White at that Rock and Roll Showcase. The following day, the band finally gets into the recording studio. They're going to make another record. Jimmy wants to record his songs. Mr. White wants them to record other songs. He's willing to give Jimmy one song per side of the record, but that's it. He wants him to do songs that he wants him to do, the way he wants him to do it, which is what a manager does. And this is the part of the film where I have a little bit of an issue, as much as I love the film. Throughout the entire time they were on the Fair Tour, we heard different songs of the Wonders. Obviously, That Thing You Do, the big song title of the movie, that got the most play. But there was also All My Only Dreams, Little Wild One, Dance With Me Tonight. There right there is 4 songs. And most albums back in those days only had about 10. So we've already established almost half of an album worth that Jimmy wrote. I don't see why Mr. White couldn't have conceded and put those songs on the album and then filled in the rest with the songs that he wanted them to do. The fans have already heard these songs on the tour. Let's get them out there to them. Let them be able to purchase these songs. That's the one thing I never understood about this film. But alas, that's probably why I'm not a record executive. Jimmy and Mr. White have an argument over what songs they should record. Jimmy walks out. The entire band is now falling apart. We already lost the bass player to the Marines. Jimmy is now walked out. Lenny is missing in Vegas somewhere because he went and got married with his, could call her a girlfriend, but this random girl that he had just barely met out in LA. And all that leaves is Guy. Guy's never been in a recording studio before, so he asks if he can hang around for a little bit. Mr. White tells him, sure, but you're out of the hotel this afternoon. Okay. So Guy starts goofing around on the drum set. The recording engineer hears it, asks him if he wants to lay it down. He's like, nah, I'm just goofing around. Who should walk in the door of the studio? His hero, Del Paxton. Del heard the drumming. They start chit-chatting, and Del tells the engineer to start rolling tape. So the two start jamming. Off of the jam session, Del tells him, hey, I think you've got what it takes to be a great session drummer out here. So Guy decides he's going to stay in LA, try and make a living out there as a session musician. Gets back to the hotel, he finds Faye getting ready to leave. He can't let Faye go the way that everything went down. So he talks to her for a little bit. And as she goes to walk away, he grabs her, kisses her, and realizes that that should have been done a long time ago. The two walk off, begin a life together, and live happily ever after. Like I said, That Thing You Do is quite possibly my favorite, one of my favorite Tom Hanks films. Definitely top 5. Really, really close personal favorite of mine. A lot of it has to do with the Beatles' influence. People that have been following me through the years, back even when I was doing Renegade Wrestling, Dad's on Wrestling, first stint of Renegades reviews, people that have been following me know what a Beatles fan I am. And this was basically, what if the Beatles were one-hit wonders? It's pretty much the vibe that I've always associated with this movie. Clearly the Beatles weren't. They changed the landscape of music forever. These guys, not so much. But they had a good run, few months there, and then they faded off into the sunset. It happens to a lot of artists. Think about all the one-hit wonders that you know. This very well could basically be any of their stories. What do you guys think about That Thing You Do? I personally give this film 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's not good enough for me to give 5 stars. Like I said, I've always had that one issue with the movie. But it's damn good in my opinion. So I give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. How do you feel about that thing you do? Let me know. Leave your thoughts in the comment box below, as always. Let's get those hashtags out there on social media. Hashtag Casa D18 Studios. Hashtag Renegades Reviews. Hashtag Renegade Returns. And of course, hashtag Shenanigans. We interrupt this episode of Renegades Reviews for an important announcement about
merchandising.
Merchandising? What's that?
Merchandising. Come, I'll show you. Merchandising, merchandising, where the real money's made.
Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network for all the t-shirts you see here from the West Coast professor, Jeff Meacham himself. You can get shirts for the Jeff Meacham Network, Talk Wrestling, as well as the red and gold Meachamania shirts. And while you're there, don't forget to get your shirts of the Casa D18 Studios Brotherhood, the Dads on Wrestling shirt, the Renegade JJ Williams, Statboy Sports Bar, and the hashtag Statboy Approved shirt. Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network and score your shirts today. Don't forget to get out like the commercial just told you. Go to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network. Support the Casa D18 Brethren. Get yourself your Renegade JJ Williams shirt. Get yourself your Dads on Wrestling shirt, your Statboy Sports Bar shirt, your Statboy Approved shirt, your Meachamania shirt, and all the other shirts that you can find there on Teespring. It really helps support us, and we can use all the support we can get. Make sure you tune in tomorrow here on Casa D18 Studios when we'll be bringing you our next film in the Tom Hanks month. Tomorrow we'll be talking about Saving Private Ryan, which, believe it or not, until I watched this film to review it, I'd never seen it before. It's going to be a theme that's going to come up a couple times here in the next few days on Tom Hanks month. Films that I had never seen before. What am I going to think about them? You're going to have to make sure you tune in to find out. So, until tomorrow, when I discuss Saving Private Ryan, right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, in a brand new episode of Renegades Reviews. I am the Renegade JJ Williams. Take it easy, and I will see you guys next time.